Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is Arcane episode 7. So last episode, Vi and Powder have finally met up again, but was pretty quickly separated, being kidnapped by the Firelights. I don't really know what the Firelights' motive here is, so it'll be interesting to finally get a bit more info on the Firelights, why they're doing what they're doing, and who they are. But it seems like this might end badly if the Firelights are like capturing them to try and have a conversation with them, or if it's not as malicious as it seems, because it feels like Powder is just going to come in here and she's going to cause havoc once she finds where they are. So there could be a bit of conflict brewing here. So before we jump into it, be sure to check out the Patreon. Over there you can find early access. We'll probably be finished with the show by this point. You can also find polls so you can vote for what's next, and you can find full-length timer-based reactions where you just sync up your own footage so you can see anything that's cut out from the YouTube edit. So let's just jump right in. Oh, the Firelights, yeah.
The ones that are voiceless scream from the pool.
This is really cool, this kind of grungy aesthetic.
It's all about the get back.
Leader of the Firelights just like sitting on a throne there. That's really cool.
Well, that's the foundation of this mountain.
And they have quite a lot of members. Some that I haven't seen yet, it looks like.
What's going on? Hey, stop! Get your hands off of me! Leave her alone! Let me go! Vi?
Oh, instead of taking just Vi. Oh, he's like a bat person. Yeah, it's totally Echo.
For a dead girl.
Real grown up now, isn't he? You know, we saw this like bat guy, so we know there's like these different races and different species, so I'm wondering if there will be like a racial element in here at all, because that's my first thought. Like as soon as I saw this bat guy, he takes off the mask, maybe that's something that the Firelights are like fighting, because we have seen multiple races up in the higher class in Piltover, so like so far there hasn't been any like obvious like racial divide, you know.
It's me, Vi. Same person who used to take you down to the junk heap and hose you down when you got covered in grease.
That was a long time ago. People change.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
I thought you were dead. Now you show up with a pilty and give her a tour of the lanes?
A pilty, okay.
So you just come out swinging?
Gee, I wonder who I learned that from.
Oh, you should have learned
Yeah.
to punch like a little boy.
And you still block with your face.
I missed you, little man.
How long have you had those off?
So he's been working against Powder this whole time though.
This hex core. That may be difficult to arrange.
But now this guy who's connected to Silco could get his hands on some hex tech then.
And this is Shimmer?
A variant. It should provide everything one needs to survive a violent transition.
Oh, okay, yeah, so he can use the shimmer to like prop yourself up a bit and then use the hex core.
It's why I parted ways with Heimerdinger.
Yeah, everyone has history in this show, it seems, you know. But is this guy still working for Silco as well? Because he seems like quite isolated in this underground lab. When before he was like working directly with Silco, but maybe he's just producing it at the moment.
He was my mentor, Mel. And I betrayed him.
Yeah.
Everything you said about him was true. Heimerdinger will understand eventually.
I think Heimerdinger does understand, but he's just so worried about the consequences of the hex tech and all of this discovery he's doing.
We'll get through this. I'll store the council, but they'll soon need their leader.
I love this red lighting, this really like direct lighting. Oh, she's much more beat up than I thought she was.
Took her!
Yeah, now Echo and Vi are on good terms, and she's gonna show up and ruin this maybe. Yeah, if that isn't some symbolism, I don't know what is. Oh, this is cool.
Pretty cool, huh? When I first saw it, I knew this was the place.
So they've set up their own, like, society.
Silco flooded the lanes with shimmer. He didn't care what it did to people. Everyone here was an addict or a victim.
Yeah, so he's like isolated them from the Shimmer, basically.
I should have been there. For you. For everyone.
Really cool communities I built here.
She's still in there. I can reach her.
You can't.
Has Echo actually like tried to get through to her though? Or has he just fought her as the Firelight, you know?
This is everyone we've lost.
Yeah, so they consider Powder like lost. And there was that girl that looked like Vi.
But because she wants to. I'm sorry, but that's who she is now.
No, I don't think so. She's been kind of groomed into it. She's like not mentally fit enough to figure it out, really.
Do you have any idea how this looks? I order a blockade and my own partner violates it.
Oh yeah, because he was down below when the blockade happened.
I told you I knew someone.
Well, you didn't say they were from the Undercity.
What difference does that make?
They're dangerous.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah, just saying, generalizing the people from the Undercity right in front of him. So these people, they're all rioting because they let Victor through and not them, you know? I love Silco's new get-ups. He feels like more important now, doesn't he?
It's losing control. If we stand together,
we aren't due for an assembly.
Okay, so there's like multiple gang leaders here essentially. This is cool seeing a bit more of this.
we're all wondering, what's your plan to fix this? How are you meant to bring Piltover to heal if you can't handle your own people? Huh?
I love this guy's design, this like jaw piece he has. Is he releasing something into the air?
Oh, you don't recognize it.
Something new?
Air so thick it clogged your throat.
Please. Please.
But Silco seems to be pretty well adjusted to this.
Good meeting.
Yeah, so that was just getting everyone on the right page, getting them in check, you know? A bit of a power play.
I've had word from our friends overseas. This threat from the Undercity is drawing attention.
Yeah, because it's affecting everyone if there's no trade.
This arrived for you.
Is that like her house? Because she's mentioned her family quite a lot.
Let her go. I brought her here. It's me you want.
Caitlin doesn't have the full picture here.
I can explain.
Don't move, silly. I might hurt you, but you found out she came back.
And yeah, it still didn't say.
I wanted to protect.
How much Shimmer can he handle?
Have you forgotten how she left you? Who found you? Who cared for you?
Yeah, he's still manipulating her. Looks like he's got a bit of grey hair coming in as well. I don't know if he's always had that or if he's getting more stressed, you know?
Your people hunt us. Like animals. Silco pays them to do it.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Silco is the real leader, isn't he?
Hey, she's not your enemy.
Oh yeah? Then what's this?
I love how vibrant all of this is.
Someone with the right knowledge could build any hex tech device. If enforcers are becoming more aggressive, that's why.
Yeah, they're all after it.
We could beat Silco with this.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to use it.
You'd be well within your rights to keep it. But if you do, this cycle of violence will never stop. This city needs healing, more than I ever realized.
Yeah, so Caitlin could be a force for good if she's allowed back up topside.
I have a friend on the council. Let me take the gemstone to him.
And Jace does want what's best, you know? It's just if he has the political power to actually make change.
If we are to assume the worst, that would mean they've turned it into a weapon.
Well, do we know this for certain?
We can't afford to wait to find out.
Yes, exactly like an arms race.
We should prepare our own countermeasures. If we're lucky, we'll never need to use it.
Yeah, I mean, the parallels between like the nuclear arms race and the Cold War are pretty apparent here. It's pretty quick thinking. I thought he was just gonna like throw it or get away from it. Diffuse the situation, there's always a choice. Oh, he kept it in his cane. Oh, he's put the runes onto his like leg brace. I always love these montages. It feels like things are building up, you know. Oh, she's right at the border. It's not good.
I'm worried I have to do something I never thought I would.
Oh, hit him with the hammer like we saw in the opening. Is Jace like a playable character then if he's got this hammer? If this doesn't work though, there'll be some drastic consequences. He's gonna become like infused with the hex tech, it seems. Yeah, like straight into his bloodstream. Oh, they're at the bridge as well. She can sense something's off.
I can't leave her again.
So she's going back for her. What's the consequences going to be for Kate then though if she lets Vi go? Milo's just kind of always there, haunting Powder's conscious.
She wouldn't do that.
I wonder why it is always Milo, not Clagger as well, you know? I guess Milo was always making fun of her.
Sir, I have proof. Silco's behind everything.
Yeah, but Marcus isn't the one to talk about with this. He's the most corrupt here. Oh, is Powder just gonna swoop in here and steal it? That looked like it ricocheted off. She's gonna have to get involved if some violence breaks out. All these firelights. Is Echo doing this? Can he control them somehow? Or is it just like a coincidence? Oh, the robotic ones. They're obviously not like powerful enough to kill anyone, but good distraction, right? Oh, so he's just bulletproof vest. I thought it like bounced off of the chamber the orb was in. Okay, so they did do more damage than I thought they would. Is that the song? She's like humming this tune. Is that the song right at the start of episode 1?
Tell my daughter.
Wow. It killed Marcus, wow. And Powder's taking it back. Oh, Echo's coming in. Lost a gun. Oh, steal it right back, yeah.
Go!
Does Jinx know who he is? Look at that, it's so ominous. She doesn't have time to explain anything, yeah.
Oh, look who it is. The boy Saviour.
Oh, that's great, building the tension with the watch clicking. No, I'm getting the flashbacks, yeah. I was fully expecting it to go to the credits there. So we go back to this aesthetic from before, but it's the young versions of them. And it's like he's holding a sword. I love how stylized this is, yeah. He's got a firelight behind him, and she had a bird. So yeah, that was just like him remembering them playing as kids. Ooh. Doesn't have the heart to do it. What was she thinking? It just shows how reckless she is, but you know, that can't be enough to kill either of them, can it? There's no way that that would happen. Okay, so that was episode 7 of Arcane. I don't think Powder or Echo are dead there. I don't think, you know, I think she's very reckless, but I don't think she's reckless enough to set off a bomb that would kill her. I think you kind of know that it's not quite powerful enough to kill you, but it's powerful enough to kind of diffuse this situation, you know? So as I thought, Echo is the leader of the Firelights. He's built up this really cool like community here, kind of away from the rest of the Undercity, getting away from all of their problems, everything they're dealing with all of the shimmer and all of the corruption. And you know, they have this really cool tree house, so they have all of this natural air as well. We see in this episode that natural air is quite an asset, quite a valuable thing in this universe, isn't it? Especially for people from the Undercity, because we see that when Silco goes to visit Finn and these other like underlings he has, he cuts off the fresh air and lets them experience what it used to be like in the Undercity. And you know, the people of Piltover, they just kind of take it for granted, as you would. They don't even consider like air quality to be a problem that they have to deal with, you know? So we finally have a name for this inventor who came up with the concept of the shimmer. His name is Signed, and he was working with Victor. He comes up with the idea of basically using the shimmer to make yourself like more strong, more powerful, and then combining that with the hex tech, with the hex core, because the hex core, it like enhances you using the shimmer to like give you a bigger like base of power, I guess, to be able to handle everything that the hex core does to you. And we never really saw the consequence of that, so it will be interesting next episode to see what state Victor is in. Is he just like a fully functional person, just like no issues at all? Is he like melded with the hex tech, like a bit of a monstrosity? Or, you know, what kind of state is he in? What are going to be the consequences of this as well, you know? So that'll be really interesting, this reveal, which will probably be in the next episode, I assume, or maybe the one after, of where Victor is at the moment. And, you know, it does make me wonder if Signed is still working for Silco, because he's here in his like old lab. He's not with Silco here, but it might just be Silco doesn't need him anymore and tossed him aside because they can just produce the shimmer as much as they want now. Or is this just his laboratory where he's coming up with newer versions of shimmer? Because he did say the version of the shimmer that he gave to Victor was a kind of more refined, more sturdy type of shimmer, wasn't it? So back to Echo, he kind of blames himself for everything, which is what I'd kind of assumed, because he was always this onlooker and now he is actually taking action, and he's kind of seen past all of the corruption with everything that Silco does, you know, bribing Marcus. Silco is kind of the real leader of both Piltover and the Undercity because he has all of this power. But Echo sees through that and sees through the corruption and is trying to stop Silco from selling the shimmer, from, you know, making everyone's lives worse, but also it's taking away some of the power from Silco, isn't it? Because he can't generate any money from selling the shimmer. And then it seems we might have lost Marcus this episode. You know, he was saying, tell my daughter I love her, essentially, and then like fainted, I don't know, died. He might just be completely dead at this point. And I think, you know, this is kind of a consequence of his own action, because he did have the chance to make a change when in episode 3, you know, he realized he had done wrong when Grayson died, but then he still continued on this path of corruption, working with Silco. But, you know, it does feel a bit like Marcus was trying to get out of that. It was kind of a situation that he's put himself in, and it's very hard to get out of once you're working with gangs and things, is you can't just get out of that situation easily, especially with his kid who Silco had threatened. But you know, if Marcus had just taken the gem and not shot at Echo, would this still have happened? I'm not sure, because obviously it was Jinx who sent in these little firelights. That was a really cool setup as well, because we've seen her tinkering with the little butterflies, and then when the firelights come in, you think, oh, it's the firelights. It's like this moment of calmness and tranquility and almost hope, until you realize what they actually are, and they obviously explode. But now that Marcus is gone, I don't know who is next in line to take over the enforcers. Caitlyn was pretty low ranking, so I don't think it would be her. So there isn't really anyone we've been introduced to so far who can be like the next leader of the enforcers, right? And we did see a bit of Heimerdinger just walking through the streets of what looked like the Undercity. He'd like got a coat on. So what is the deal with that? We never really got any wrap up on that. We just see him going through the Undercity. Heimerdinger has like some connections down there perhaps, or he's going to someone for something. Potentially he realizes what the danger is here with this, you know, nuclear arms race essentially. So maybe he is going to try and reason with someone, or I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities in what Heimerdinger is doing down here in the Undercity. But if he's desperate as well, you know, he might have just been looking for Victor perhaps. If he got word that Victor had come down to the Undercity as well, maybe that's what it was. Heimerdinger, he does, you know, he has everyone's best interest at heart, it seems. I mean, most of the characters do. So maybe he was just looking out for Victor and was worried about Victor. And then this Echo and Jinx fight, what a great fight. You know, I think the action here is very well animated and there's a lot of good action. It doesn't feel like overdone action, I guess. You know, I knew this show had some action, but all of the action is usually pretty snappy and over with pretty quick. It's not like we're getting like half of an episode is one entire fight, you know? It's all pretty fast paced, the action. And then it was kind of intercut with this flashback of Echo and Powder like play fighting before, and we see Echo, he was shot by like a paintball right in his chest, and then we see when Marcus shot him, he had a bulletproof vest there, so it's showing he's learning from his mistakes, you know. And then he'd learned from the mistake again when fighting Powder this time. But that was just really cool. They really like built up the hype then, especially with his little stopwatch swinging back and forth and the ticking just building and building the tension. That was really great. And then like the visual style, this kind of like graffiti grungy style, that was really cool. We got a bit of that at the start of the episode as well. And you know, I was worried that it was going to cut to credits when that music started playing. Then when it went into that other visual style, I thought the credits were going to start rolling. I thought that's what it was, but I'm glad it wasn't over at that point. But I did find it a bit difficult to figure out what was happening, because I didn't know if it was the flashback that it actually was. It was like a flashback, but I thought it was just like an artistic representation of what was actually happening. It was like showing us them as kids fighting instead of showing us the actual them fighting. That's what I thought was happening there, but it was like a flashback, right? And we saw Echo, he did hesitate when he was going in for like that final punch on Powder. So he does have a conscience, you know. He was playing up, he was kind of distant from all of his emotions a bit, and we saw with Vi as well, when Vi gave him a hug, that he finally like took his barrier down a bit. And then here he does like have a conscience and was seeing Powder as a person. You know, throughout the episode he was saying, oh, Powder's gone, it's just Jinx now that remains. And that's shown when he's got this mural of all of the people that have lost, with Vander, Milo, Clagger, Jinx, and Vi, who they obviously all assumed Vi was dead when she was in this prison. So he had kind of like lost hope for getting her back, but I think maybe in that moment, seeing the eye contact, seeing her face to face, maybe he realizes there's a potential for her to be saved. And I do think there is a potential for her to be saved. They just have to convince her that Silco isn't the person who he says he is, you know. But we did see here some of the trust for Silco is waning a bit. she was like tormenting him when she was injecting him, saying that he was a liar because he had lied about Vi being back. So some of that trust is starting to break down a bit here. Now, I haven't quite caught who has the actual gem at the moment. If it's Powder, then I feel like she's going to use it to make some weaponry. And I feel like Echo probably would do the same. So there's some conflict here about to happen with who, I don't know who has it. So either way, I think a weapon is probably going to be produced. And even if a weapon isn't, it seems that Piltover will be developing some weaponry. And as I said, you know, it's a pretty clear like parallel to like the nuclear arms race, especially with Heimerdinger, whose name is literally a play on Oppenheimer, who invented like nuclear weaponry, right? And then later came to regret it. That's like the little bit of knowledge I know about Oppenheimer. So like that's a pretty clear parallel here. And both sides, they both see it as, or the other person's developing this weapon, I have to develop it too so we can protect ourselves from them. And then it just leads to mutually assured destruction if it ever ends up actually being used, you know. Then we see here Jace, he's got this drawing of him with a hammer. Now I don't know what characters from this are like playable in the game. I know like Jinx and Vi are, but I don't know, you know, is Jace like a playable character? He's like a hammer. Is Echo a playable character? He's like riding along on his board. You know, obviously I haven't played the games, so there's a lot of like information that maybe I could pick up on if I had played the games. Like, oh, I know this character wouldn't die because they're in the game, obviously. You know, there's probably tidbits about the characters that I could have picked up if I did know the game more thoroughly, you know? And when it comes to Jace, he definitely has the people's best interest in mind. But it does feel like this episode especially, he was like, oh, let's take care of Victor first. So it's like he's prioritizing Victor over all of these people in the Undercity, you know? And then the people in the Undercity, they see him letting Victor through the barricade. They're not allowed to come up into Piltover, and they see this hypocrisy that Victor is allowed up because he's a friend, you know? So it might be a struggle for Jace that the people of the Undercity don't like him and working against him, and he still has to try and help them, you know? And we did see, you know, even though he does want to help these people, he still labels them as dangerous and like stereotypes them a bit in front of Victor as well. So I think that's everything I have to say for this episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment. And if you really loved it, be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date for all of the future episodes. And if you're interested, check out the Patreon where you can get early access to the last 2 episodes of the show and full-length reactions where you can just sync up your own footage. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.